Welcome to the Stringless Life Radio, the podcast for leaderpreneurs, entrepreneurs, men and women learn the essentials and soft skills of the stringless life. Good to see y'all today. JR and Hendrick taking over for this particular one till Jimmy decides he wants to come back. I want to talk to you about one of the most powerful couples in American history, Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt. Now I remember back when Jimmy and I were engaged to our respective mates, we listened together to No Ordinary Time. And ain't it something how that relationship was? They started out, they were married, they were fifth cousins. Their main connect was Eleanor's uncle, previous president, Theodore Roosevelt. Now, get this. Marriage is going along swimmingly. You know, they've had their kids. Roosevelt's working as Secretary of the Navy, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, World War I. And then he decides to go sneak around with a younger Lucy Mercer. Now, I gotta say that got to piss Eleanor off. She threatened to divorce him. His mama threatened to cut him out of the will, so they reached a compromise. Alright? Everything was going fine as far as we knew. He was in the White House. Sometimes Eleanor was there, sometimes she wasn't. She was traveling all over the country. Now there's rumors. And there may be some historical things that she might have been part lesbian. I know mine and JR's grandmas didn't necessarily like her that much at all. Well, Jimmy's grandma said that she was, an African American, just to put it nicely. And my grandma said that she was too uppity. But enough about Eleanor. We're talking about the two most powerful people in American history. Anyway, they're in the White House. Eleanor's off doing her own thing. She joins her husband aside sometimes for cocktails and dinner. But it's not the relationship that they could be. According to Doris Kearns Goodwood, Eleanor thought that sex was an ordeal to be born, so they like some presidential couples, they slept in separate bedrooms. Of course, Franklin, he couldn't help himself. He started playing around with his secretary come mistress, Missy Lehan. What I heard, he drove her crazy. He ended up having to put her out to play at pasture with his heart. But there's some lessons to learn about love and power. Power is good. But don't let it consume you to where you don't have love anymore. Alright? I remember my daddy used to tell me in my college days, JR, son, all is fair in love and war. And I used to be mad at him for saying that. So I'll tell you this much. I tried in my first marriage. I put the power pursue me. But, power went to both of our heads. This second time, we're both in sought for power, but we deeply love each other, so let's just hope that continues. Now, power and love can be quite friendly to each other, but they can also be competition. Now, Franklin and Eleanor, they didn't have the best relationship, but Eleanor complimented Franklin when he needed it. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the concept of the time. Hitler came to power around the same time Roosevelt did. in 33. And I gotta say, Hitler was awfully menacing. He was pretty awfully menacing. Roosevelt was trying to ignore him with a policy of neutrality. He had a little support from his advisors in Eleanor about that. But by 1938-39, Hitler was getting a bit over his head. 38, he invaded Austria. They didn't do nothing about it. 39, Roosevelt heard outgoing Prime Minister Chamberlain reluctantly say what Winston Churchill more strongly said, that if Germany invaded Poland, Great Britain would go to war. Of course, Roosevelt, he had a man named Joseph Kennedy try to make him stick with neutrality, but Roosevelt didn't care. See, the thing is, he made the promise back in 40 he'd keep us out of a war. But by December 7th, 1941, it was too late. We were in a war. And he would send Eleanor to visit the wounded in the military hospitals. That was quite a couple. You see, Franklin D. Roosevelt did many good works. Don't get me wrong. But one thing he's been known with in some ways is being scandalous and ruthless. 1941, he got rid of Missy Lehan, drove her out of her mind. Picked back up, remember Lucy Mercer? He picked up Lucy Mercer Rutherford, because her husband had passed away, and they started hooking it together. So you willing to bet that Eleanor spends a lot more time away from the White House. Of course, he runs in 44 for a fourth term rather, and fourth term. And he was tired. He knew his time was up. You could tell at the Yalta conference. And then, with Hitler defeated, Roosevelt died. And Eleanor Roosevelt was there when Harry Truman took over the reins. Now, and of course, to show his gratitude, Truman appointed Eleanor Roosevelt as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. I hope you like what you hear on Stream This Life Radio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Become a part of the Stream This Life Radio family. It's J.R. Hendrick saying, until next time, you think strong, you live strong, and you live the streamless life. God bless you.